Hi, this section is more information for particularly for people who are as community groups or local and state government representatives. I know in a lot of communities there are also a lot of committees, people who volunteer on committees. This is information that's important for you, but it's important for everybody to know um, where we are going. The Sylvan economy, Sylvan. I like to call it the Sylvan economy because um, the green economy has sort of been used to death, um, and it's kind of cliche, but it's basically the same thing. There's no future, there's only now. So focus on doing these three things. I mean it. Just focus on doing these three things. Map your economy, establish your recycling infrastructure, and get one green business going in your area. When you map your economy, you look at where your resources come from. Do you have any local or regional complete supply chains? Like a local farm would be a complete supply chain, especially if they were a self-sufficient farm. But lots of times, as you'll see when you map your economy, we're all dependent on resources that come in from outside of our regions. Um, we are dependent on uh, large multinational corporations for a lot of the resources that come into our regional communities. You may not be able to change that, but you do need to be aware of it and know exactly and specifically what resources you are dependent upon from others. Um, and this is also an integral part of setting up your local dollars economy, because local money is limited in the sense that, if you have to buy supplies with cash from somebody in order to provide it to your customers, then you can only, you know, use so much local cash. Um, uh, but the important thing about the local currency is not only can it help you to get some projects going now that you couldn't have otherwise, but also, of course, if we have problems with our currency, which it is definitely shaping up that we're going to have problems with our currency, because a lot of nations are catching on to the fact that they don't want to keep using the petrodollar, and they're trying to get their own currencies going again, and that's really where we need to be going to anyhow. Is well, yeah, to is every nation on the globe needs to print their own money, and it needs to be on a one-to-one basis with everybody else's money, and that completely eliminates so many problems that I can't even go into it right now. But the whole third world issue, a lot of that has to do with the value of their currency, and so when they go to trade, you know, they only get so much money for those shirts that they made, you know, and and they never are able to accumulate any wealth or value because their currency has no value because it's being manipulated on the currency market. So one-to-one currency value just eliminates that whole need for an exchange market and a place for people to exploit and make money. So uh, mapping your economy is really important to help you set up the local dollars market. And it's also a major component of transitioning to a strong, self-sustaining local economy. There's actually a group called the Transitions Movement that you can look up and find out about, and they have a whole plan for how you can restructure and create your strong local economy. Now, the reason why you want to have a strong local economy is not just because you want to have a strong local economy, because your local economy doesn't exist, all by itself. Um, you want to have a strong local economy because that helps to create strong regional economies, which helps to create a strong national economy. You see, that's what localization is all about. It's not, you could misinterpret if you didn't look into it, and you're going to look into it. You could misinterpret that to mean that, you just have to worry about your little hamlet, and to heck with everybody else kind of a thing. But that's not what this is about at all. It's about everyone being self-sustaining and how that builds and creates a self-sustaining, independent nation, which is what we want. Because we won't be satisfied with anything else. Um, the second thing, establishing your recycling infrastructure. Um, you need to make use of all available resources, even if it means stockpiling stuff that you can't sell. We can and we must get this infrastructure established now. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have with recycling right now um, is that we don't have the infrastructure for taking all these materials and gathering them, in the right places so that they're regional and everybody can get their stuff to them, and have the transportation structures set up so that we can do that easily. So that's the part that we really need to focus on, is the infrastructure part. We have the trash, right? We just need to be able to get it someplace where we can recycle it. And the cost of natural resources is going to change as our circumstances continue to change. Already we have a lot of our coal, for example, is being exported to India and China. Um, since we are no longer a first world designated consumer market, which is why all of our our industry went away, and why they don't seem to give a crap that you're not getting paid enough to live. Yeah, it's because we're no longer the designated consumer market as we had been in the past, which is why we have had all this stuff, when we were constantly at the shopping mall and all that. Um, uh, uh, which means that the value and the cost of our natural resources are going to change, and continue to change. There's a lot of places in the third world, where, they dig gold, for goodness sakes, but who in that country can afford, to buy a gold ring, Um, so it's the same for all natural resources, as they destabilize your economy, you become you become like more of an extraction nation where resources are extracted and sold elsewhere, and the profits go elsewhere. And also, when we look at establishing a silver economy, it's more of a materials-based economy where we are paying the true value, the true cost for our resources. And that will also change the value of our resources. Some things can become a lot more expensive when you actually count all the costs involved in extracting them, and when you count the cost of utilizing a non-renewable resource, and when you include the cost of transportation and all that stuff. A lot of our prices right now are manipulated to appear to be cheaper than they actually are. Walmart is the wonderful example of that. Um, when we have part of the Sylvan economy, of course, is fair trade. And so when people are paid a reasonable and fair wage for their labor, that also increases the labor cost. Now, a lot of big changes can occur when you start doing things right. Um, that could drive a lot of business back to America. Um, there's a lot of changes that can happen. Um, when we are utilizing our renewable resource capacity, that we have a huge capacity for renewable resources, for conservation, to decrease the carbon emissions, to and to um, and to save on the use of things like oil and natural gas, then the prices of those items will also change. So it's important, and when the price of natural resources go up, then of course the value of the recycled materials also goes up, and it becomes more competitive. So we have to set up those recycling infrastructure now, because of course the market isn't going to do that for us. Um, we also have to remember that we don't own any natural resources. The ruling elite owns them. Okay, that's what got them to be the ruling elite, is that they own a lot of basically all the natural resources. Think of any kind of a mine. Who owns a mine, right? Okay, so, but we do own trash. Yes. So this is something that we can do on a community and regional level right now. It's something you could utilize local money to at least partially fund. Um, it's private recycling enterprises, on the other hand, is limited in what it can do because it's dependent upon existent market prices for what it can collect and sell. And that's why a lot of times you'll see, there'll be some place, a recycling place, where you can take your batteries and your metal or whatever too, and then next thing you know, they're out of business. They don't do that anymore. Or you can recycle this kind of plastic, but not that kind of plastic. Green glass is trash. I mean, there's all this stuff, these limits, and that we have when we're just trying to do it based on the market system that we have right now. So, on the other hand, we the people, we have a national goal of utilizing a materials-based economy. So our aim is to incorporate recycling into the entire production chain of everything we create. Um, so we're starting that now, okay? And there are plenty of people and businesses and organizations that have focused on how to make packaging recyclable and how to um, incorporate recycling into every part of the production chain. Including, setting up businesses so that one company that can utilize the waste of another company, they set up business right next door to each other. Um, Plenty of ideas, no shortage of solutions. Um, you just have to do your homework. Um, the third thing was to get one green business going in your area. I picked one because that's the best number. Because it's you've never done this before in your small community. One is good. Because if you can manage to pull that off, number one, you're learning how to do it, and number two, imagine if every community had one green business. That would be a lot of green businesses, right? So one is good. And there are places you can go on the internet where you can just pick something. Okay. The business can be a part of the green supply chain, or it can be the production of a particular product. Um, it will provide new and good paying jobs right off the bat, and more importantly, it will be a step in the direction that we must go. So it gives us the opportunity to just go ahead and take that step and do it, and not again wait for people who have no intentions of doing it to do it. Um, the monopolized, not free market that we live in today isn't going to provide this opportunity. So stop using it as an excuse. You must do this. And here's an idea. Just for example, work with a green business developer to help you get a solar panel company to come to your community and just do you a deal on the whole area. This could include job training and the panel production as well. Local government gets solar from this company. Local businesses get solar from this company. Local households can get solar from this company. And I'm not talking about you getting like 100% coverage everywhere. Just do what you can, because it'll be better than nothing. It'll be 100% better than nothing. And of course, the more communities that do this, the cheaper it all gets. So, how do you do these three things? Well, the same way we do anything else. The same way the Koch brothers do it. You pay somebody. We never think of that. We always want to start a nonprofit organization, every time we need to do something. It's so inefficient, and I'm totally against starting any more groups, okay? You will find that with me. I'm not into it. We already have all the groups we need, okay? Um, you will increase your chances of success 150% if you would just, I have this underlined, pay somebody and give them the authority to coordinate locally and regionally to do these things. Do your preparedness / homeland security check, map your economy, bring in the green business, improve your recycling infrastructure, and beef up your local food banks. You can pay this person partially in local town dollars. And coordinators are just that. They are not a whole new department. They get the groundwork done so that these new activities can be established and incorporated into your existing community structure. Then they go away. They are 100% successful in a reasonable amount of time because they are not some poor, overworked person from the planning department who always seems to get stuck having to do all these things. The position pays for itself because it is not a permanent budget increase and they are implementing activities that save money and make money. I bet a lot of city council and county commissioners don't know this. They are too busy coping with budget deficits and community apathy. This is why we all need to do our homework. Watch the playlist on what is right with the world to get an idea of just a few of the activities going on in America right now that go completely against what we are told about what is economically possible and what is not. In truth, all we need is you. You are the missing piece that will make all of the new economy a very doable reality today, right now. It's all here, right now. Almost anything you can think of, someone is working on it. Almost any obstacle that you face, someone has already overcome it. Now, state and congressional representatives, this is for you. Your staff and your active party members can be very supportive in mapping the economy and in the preparedness activities. They can help you get clear on what kind of resources are being exported and imported into your state and region. This is important because big capital will take all of your stuff and sell it to the highest bidder. You can have a state full of coal, oil, natural gas, wheat, whatever. You can dig and grow the stuff for a living and not have any heat in your house or bread on your table. This is a point of power. Again, Everything I'm talking about is strategic. It's not just a laundry list. These are things that actually will make a powerful difference. We're looking for leverage, and we're looking to get our power back and fill the power vacuum. We have to have some rules in place that make the state itself a priority for resources that provide for basic needs. And that's your phrase that will get you what you want and justify what you need to do. Okay? Basic needs. We have to have some rules in place that make the state itself a priority for resources that provide for basic needs. Now, this is very radical. I mean, this is why countries are getting destabilized and they're looking for a regime change and all this other horrible stuff. So I'm telling you, this is a very powerful point. Okay, it gets it right where it needs to go. Because again, you're saying that no, these resources are not just up for grabs. There are other priorities, and the people who live here come first. Of course, these are the kinds of rules that really piss off the ruling elite. This is where they use coercion, blackmail, violence, and regime change to get their way. But if you are ready to take the offensive, it is key that you secure the resources for your state and your region. Now, for professionals or anyone else who would like to, we need a campaign similar to standing outside and banging pots and pans. This is a particular campaign that I come up with for professionals. Instead of banging on pots and pans, what I would like for you to do is to keep sending the people in our major media information, data, photos, names, places, everything they are not talking about, everything they are lying about. No longer pleading, no long pleading letter or anything like that, or well thought out, op-ed. Just the information, lots of it, continually, regularly, unceasingly. Just keep sending it. You get the picture? Yeah. Similar to standing outside and banging on pots and pans. I think it's really important that this is a kind of a direct action that a lot of people can take, especially, intellectuals or people who are already collecting this information. And we know that they are under a lot of pressure not to listen. Okay, that a lot of major media folks, it's not that they don't want to know what's going on. It's just that they know that if they did, they would lose their jobs. And so I just think it would be a really great campaign. I'm just like envisioning, these people with boxes, stacked up on their desk and in the mail room, and it just keeps coming and it never stops coming. Send them the photographs of the dead babies. Do what it takes. Just keep doing it. And as I said, this is a whole picture, and there are things in it that you can do and things in it that you can't do. So you know who you are, and you know if I'm talking to you or not. You know what I mean? So it's not that everybody has to do everything. It's just that you have to do what you can do. Okay? What you are able to do. Maybe you can't afford the postage. Maybe somebody can. We can get together and do this. But just do it, like once a week. And of course, once again, websites you can go to that list the addresses of all the major media people. and just keep doing it. I think it's really important, um, because we can do all kinds of campaigns, and there's all kinds of wonderful groups out there that do media watch, that watch the media, that can tell you what's going on with the media, can show you where they're not telling the truth, can show you, what all the statistics and everything on how they map that and watchdog it. Um, Wonderful, wonderful groups, tons of alternative media. But it's so important that we start addressing our media problem, because, of course, it's one of the biggest ways that the ruling elite is able to get away with what they get away with. So I'm trying to think about, how could we have the most impact, using the least amount of resources. And, you can go and stand outside and protest and be asked to leave and get tear gassed, or you can just keep doing this, and maybe at some point they'll say, we're not accepting any more mail, or something like that. That would be funny, but, just keep doing it. And I think it's really important because it shows the truth right there, just how much they are ignoring. And that's the message, that's the message that you're sending when you do this. It's just the quantity, the vast quantity of information that the mass media is ignoring. And hopefully it might affect some of the people who are actually working there. Um, for one percenters and philanthropy, the philanthropy community, um, my suggestion, and this has been talked about before, it's not the first time, is to work with activist groups that are focused on election and campaign reform. Um, we need training programs for new leadership, and there'll be more details about that coming along here shortly. um, we have a new job description for elected representatives that would like to utilize, with a real-time voter database of needs and issues that electeds are required to use, and that we will use for national decision making. And we have the ability to do that, and I'm sure that anything you can think of, somebody's already working on it. So it's just a matter of identifying the people who are working on this particular idea, and and putting the money into it that makes it possible for people to use it. Um, we also need to develop a time management and accountability software for representatives. Um, I don't know if some people know what time management software is and they actually use it, like if you work for yourself. Sometimes a lot of people who work for themselves, and they need to keep track of how much time they spend on a particular job, so that they can get paid, Um, it's that kind of a thing where, a software program where they'll be logging in, and we'll be able to like see their schedule, and we'll be able to look and see how much of a percentage of their time do they spend, like, in meetings, on the Hill or whatever, or meeting with constituents, or meeting with lobbyists, so we can get a sense of how much time is spent doing each activity, how much time they spend on the voter database, looking and seeing what it is that they need to be doing for their constituency, so that, on the one hand, we have this well-informed constituency that's doing their homework, right? And then we have our representatives who are able to look and see exactly what it is is being asked of them. And so it just keeps things honest and more usable, more doable. You can't, a democracy isn't something that you can just say with your mouth and say, oh, we're a democracy. You have to be actually doing it. You have to do democracy. Okay, it's not just an idea, it's an activity. So the idea is to start bringing in the model, the tools that we need to use in order to have it actually be an activity. Okay. Um, and we also need to develop. All right. Right, and this using the database for national decision making is something that we really need to have now, not later, now, because we need to establish authority. It's like, who gets to decide stuff, right? We do.